What's the most valuable lesson you learned from a junior enlisted soldier? My dad's old captain told us this story at his retirement party last month. Private Lewis was 18, fresh out of basic and absolutely terrible at everything, Captain Morrison said. Couldn't march, couldn't shoot, couldn't even fold his uniform right. The other soldiers were getting frustrated with Lewis slowing down their training. Morrison was ready to recommend him for discharge. But Lewis had this weird habit, Morrison continued. Every morning at 0500 before anyone else was awake, I'd see him in the mess hall reading. Morrison got curious and checked what Lewis was reading. Technical manuals, leadership books, even poetry collections from the base library. I asked him why he was studying so hard when he was failing everything, Morrison said. His answer changed my entire approach to leadership. Lewis explained that he'd grown up poor in rural Alabama. His parents never finished high school, and he was the first person in his family to join the military. I know I'm not smart like the other guys, Lewis had told Morrison, but I figure if I read enough, maybe I can catch up. Morrison was impressed, but still doubted Lewis could improve fast enough to stay in the Army. Then we got our first major inspection, Morrison said. The kind that can make or break a unit's reputation. The night before inspection, everyone was nervous. Morrison was doing final checks when he found Lewis in the supply room, helping 3 other soldiers struggling with their equipment. Lewis wasn't just helping them, Morrison said. He was teaching them stuff he'd learned from those manuals, things I didn't even know. During inspection, Lewis's squad performed flawlessly. The general even complimented their attention to detail. Turns out Lewis had been quietly tutoring half the company for weeks, Morrison added. He'd set up study sessions in the barracks, sharing everything he learned. Soldiers who had been struggling with weapons suddenly knew their rifles inside and out. Guys who couldn't navigate were reading maps like experts. After the inspection, I pulled Lewis aside, Morrison said. I asked him how he went from worst soldier to teacher in 6 months. Lewis smiled and said something Morrison never forgot. Captain, I figured out that being smart isn't about knowing everything. It's about caring enough to learn what you don't know. That kid taught me that leadership isn't about being the smartest person in the room, Morrison said, his voice getting emotional. It's about creating an environment where everyone wants to get smarter. Morrison implemented Lewis's approach across his company. Study groups, mentorship programs, and resource sharing became standard practice. Lewis eventually became one of my best NCOs, Morrison concluded. But more importantly, he showed me that wisdom can come from anywhere if you're humble enough to listen.